Okay, so now we are recording. Welcome, everybody, to my very, very first webinar. I have been wanting to do a webinar for about 2 years, maybe even longer, ever since I discovered network marketing. Not gonna lie, ever since I came across my very first webinar, I thought, this is what I wanna do. And so here I am, 2.5 years later, approximately, doing my very first webinar. So I just want to say you guys are all incredible for simply just showing up for yourself and investing time in yourself. And honestly, thank you for the bottom of my heart for being part of this webinar and supporting me on my very first nervously exciting webinar. So,
woohoo!
thank you. So I would like first to kind of set some ground rules. So there's a chat box. Milachka, I have children at home. I'm sure most people that are home, they have children as well. So this is what happens. They're just running around and doing their own thing. And unfortunately, I don't have a hole to hide in and do this in yet. So the ground rules. So close your webinar, your browsers, so that way you can entirely focus on here. Put your phones away, take some notes. Highly encourage that. Utilize the chat box to your right side. I believe it shows up, but initially it shows up at the very bottom. And when you are writing the questions, because I don't have the Q&A option on here, when you're writing the question, I would love for you to put 3, 4, 5 question marks before you ask the question, and then you ask the question, so that way I can easily find them as well as we are going, as I read through the responses. So in any kind of insights, any thoughts, any wisdom, any intuitive hits, anything that comes to you that you might want, you wish you could say out loud, put it in the chat box on the side. And of course, the kids get loud the second I go on here and I ask them before going on. Please be quiet. Mommy's going to be doing a webinar. But anyways, that's besides the point. Welcome to the Kasperczak house. Okay, so sharing is caring. What does that mean? That means that when you have something you want to say, something you want to ask, there's no stupid questions. Every question is valuable for you and for those that are around. So that's why I always say sharing is caring. Share anything that's on your mind so that way everyone can learn from it. It will benefit everyone. And have fun. Engage in this learning. Take notes if you are a nerd like me. That's what I do. I always take notes. So let's, I guess, get started with this webinar since we got all the hard stuff out of the way, the ground rules. Nobody likes rules. I certainly don't. But we gotta have them in place. So life these days moves at a very fast pace. I'm sure you guys can all agree with that one. We are overloaded with information, and just when we get used to something, it changes in us. We're distracted and pulled in many directions. We have to think quickly and make fast decisions. We have difficulty balancing work, life, family, friends, and personal enjoyment. We're constantly on the run, and we're feeling the pressure from every angle. So in this world, there are 5 types of people. Those who see the glass as half full, those who see the glass as half empty, and those who say, who stole my grass, my water? Who stole half of my drink? Many more than both of these combined is the people that are asking who stole half of my drink. Perhaps you've heard of the phrase, as the age of entitlement. We are living in the age of entitlement, a phenomenon that leads to a take care of me first attitude that leaves us feeling disconnected and disengaged from many aspects of our lives. The result of this is stress, burnout, frustration, and a feeling of living less purposeful lives than we'd like. No wonder most of us aren't as happy or fulfilled as we'd like to be, right? And then there's people that see the glass as refillable, There's less of those people. And the fifth, which is the rarest of them all. And those people, they believe that the glass and the water and its ability to be refilled as it is all an illusion. So, which one are you from the list of these five? Which one would you say that you are? Are you number one, number two, number three, or number five? I myself kind of jump between the glasses, but for the most part, I am in the last two, as I see the glass as refillable, which means to me, that means taking the time for myself, self-care, personal care, and really just being. And being in the moment is mindfulness practice. Chat, love it. So number one, thank you, Nahid. Yes, and you know what? That's absolutely fine. There are options. That's what it really comes down to at the end of the day, that there are options and you get to choose which one you want to be. If you are number one right now, you can choose to shift that and change that. Being aware of it first, that's most important. Fiona, 1 and 4, love that. And Anna, 1 and hope a bit of 4. I like that word hope. I like to challenge that one as well. What do you really hope from getting from the fourth option? And I say option because these are options, and I would imagine that what looking at it from the fifth option as it is an illusion, all of these are also illusions. All of the options are illusions. And more wine, I like that one. Yes, you can fill it with wine. Water can be turned to wine. So that's what you are able of doing yourself as well. So, and which one would you like to be? Because Anna said that you would like to be a bit more of number 4. And what about the rest of you? Which ones would you like to be? And the next slide, let's get to that one. I love this one. I love quotes. I don't know if you guys know that about me, but I love quotes. I love analogies. I love drawing visualizations for myself and for people. So you might find me using some analogies as we go. So having a wonderful time. Wish I was here. I wonder how many people might be saying this after they get a chance to watch the replay, being part of this. So welcome to my very first webinar. My name is Yana Kasperczak, and I'm here to share an optimistic but certainly attainable vision for you. Would you like to be healthier? Would you like to improve your relationship and communication skills? Would you like to develop your spiritual self? Feel a sense of balance and purpose in your life? Would you like to perhaps uncover the who of who you are? Perhaps for the first time ever, energy leadership will show you the way. And I will show you the way, as I am part of that equation. We'll talk about, so here's the agenda for today. So this is what we will be covering today and chatting about. So the 7 levels of energy and leadership, the 12 dimensions of the energetic roadmap, how to become more engaged in your own life, how to develop into a more powerful leader, one who inspires others and yourself as well to greatness. We'll talk about the 4 main blocks that are keeping you from achieving success, and we'll quickly mention how babies fall on an average of 300 times before they actually walk, and much, much more. So how does that sound to you? Let me know how that sounds to you in the I keep saying comments, but it is comments, it's a chat box, so comment away in the chat box. So I would like to begin with a question. And the question is that we all ask of ourselves quite often, why me? Why me? And the reason why I ask that question now is, why me? Why do you choose to come and join me on this webinar? Why do you come and choose to watch my webinar? Why do you come and choose to be part of this experience with me? So why me? And why now? Okay, some of you know me for a little while, some of you know me for a little bit more, and some of you might not know me at all. I might be a complete stranger to you. So the why for you might come, and those of you that know me even a little bit, you might already know why me, and that's why you're here. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and tell you my story. Okay, I believe honesty is the best policy there is. Transparency and being the most authentic, vulnerable selves that we could possibly be. So on here, you might actually hear some things that you have never heard as part of my story before. And some that you might already heard. I'm not going to go in great details and getting into the actual story. I'll just try to skim through as much as I can for you and keep it simple and to the point, because your imagination will go as wild as it possibly can as is. So, my story. Life can certainly throw us a few curveballs, can't it? I had caught and been hit by a few that had taken me to my rock bottom. I got married at 21 without having the slightest idea of what a marriage is supposed to be like. I based my understanding of marriage on all the Indian love story movies that I watched growing up. And we all know how they typically went and how they ended up. And that's not the way that I wanted to live. And it only took me 13 years of my marriage to realize that this is not the story that I wanted to live. This is not the marriage I wanted to have. That it wasn't all about everyone else, that it was about me. So I needed to put myself back into that equation. So at 22, on a beautiful Sunday in November, we had lost our first pregnancy, which was a pregnancy of identical twin girls. I was 5 months pregnant at that point. The funeral took place on a Tuesday, and I can only recall the size of the casket at a distance because I could not bring myself to come anywhere near or close to it because it was just so tiny, and I just remember seeing the sheer size of it, containing both of the girls. And I remember me dropping to the ground as they were being lowered into the ground. And to me, that was the hardest thing of it all. This is something that I had honestly just realized last night when I was putting all this together, that I had never truly dealt with that part because it was something that I locked and put away in a nice safe box. Let's call it the Pandora box. I like that Pandora analogy because that's where we put a lot of our traumas, and this one was one of the deepest traumas. I just see a movie clip of myself replaying that in my mind now. So, but of course, I ended up getting a puppy for myself after that because I just with so much love to give, going through preparing for the girls, getting everything at 5 months, there's already preparation going through. And I needed to take that love and give it to somebody else. And that happened to be a beautiful puppy that we got, and we named him Zeus. And my love of animals has been there since birth, really. I wish I could show you a picture of me expressing that love to a cat that I do not remember because I was little. It was literally me like this, holding the cat by the scruff and just loving it so much. And my parents took a picture of me doing that to the kitty, and they have the picture, and I honestly haven't had the time to go and grab it because this was just webinar. Okay, great idea, let's go do it. And here I am doing it a couple of days later. So Zeus was a handful. I always said that he was a replacement, but at the same time he wasn't. But he was always a handful, and this is how the twins would have been. And those of you that might be curious about um, the names were Sasha and Alexis. Beautiful names that I don't believe in reusing certain things in life, so those were the names that were given to them. Um, so let's get back to the story here. That following Thursday, so Sunday was the loss, the big event. Tuesday was the funeral. Wednesday we ended up getting the dog, and Thursday was the day when I had to go back to work because I was told I have a business to run. So those words I never, ever, ever want to hear myself say or anyone else say. And that is part of the reason why I'm actually here. Helping people to bring awareness to the power of the words. And as difficult as it was then, I am very much appreciative of everything that I was given the ability to go through, to learn through. So that way I can be here with you guys right now, teaching you and sharing you all of the things that I have learned on my journey. So me going back to work, I knew most clients and they knew me, and I couldn't even take one client because as one client approached my desk, my table, I was working at that bank at the time, and saw no belly because I went from looking like I'm about to burst and give birth any minute to not having a belly at all. So she asked, what? She said, it was a lady. I can't remember the name because my eyes were just blurry from all the tears. She asked, oh my God, what happened? That was it. To me, I just ran downstairs to the bathroom and I was done for the day. I was done. I came back the next day and the next day and the next day, and I just kept coming back because that's how I was brought up. But you know what? I eventually learned that everything happens for a reason and that I was meant to have more children. And at the time, it was hard. It was hard to go through it, but I realized that I was meant to have one child at a time. Now, and then at 23, I had my first child, Mila, who's now 10, followed by our son, Ethan, who is now 7. And after that second child, I actually ended up on antidepressants. And I was on them for about a year, unable to experience life. I got off of them, and a year later, I went back on them. But at that point, it was only for 2 weeks because I just refused to depend on them, and I was determined to seek my own refuge. Mainly, it was because everyone around me judged me, either out loud or quietly. But the judgment was noticeable, to which I'm actually grateful for because it allowed me to find trust in myself and within myself. It allowed me to move through and realize and recognize that I was more than capable of doing all of that healing all on my own without any kind of substance that I was honestly a little scared of because it came with a really, really big booklet telling me all the scary things. I just looked on one page and I threw it out because I could not look at it. So from that point on, and actually this happened. So the next thing happened while I was pregnant with my son. I got demoted while I was pregnant with my son. I was 7 months pregnant with him. And 5 days before I got demoted, I also got in a car accident. So car accident, 5 days later, I got demoted from my assistant manager position because someone who I thought was my friend threw me under the bus the second she could. It was tough. Needless to say, my son was born a month early. Mind you, so was my daughter. Both of my kids were born a month early. Then I got the biggest gift of my entire life, and that was getting fired. So I got fired for helping out a fellow employee who had recently developed major anxiety and severe panic attacks. And that was the first time I didn't understand what was going on, but that was the first time that I was introduced to the possibility and what it actually was, what anxiety was, and what panic attacks were. And watching this happen was scary. I remember one day she refused the ambulance because she didn't want anyone to know. It was scary watching someone I cared about turn pale, cloudy-eyed, shaking, and having difficulty breathing. I got caught in the middle of two women's drama. That's what really ended up happening. You live and you learn. We all have heard that quote, right? You live and you learn. And I learned a great deal. And one thing that so many people around me kept trying to teach me and get me to learn is don't trust people. Don't trust people. Everyone is out to get you. Everyone wants to screw you over. But that's not the reality. That might be true to some people, but it is not the truth. So that's one lesson I did not learn. I learned quite the opposite. I believe people are looking for people that will love them, trust them, and accept them for who they are. And that's that. So that's part of what being an empath is. And being an empath isn't always easy. I got a taste of that over my lifetime. And that is until we learn how to be an awakened one, an awakened empath. Then my dream job turned to nightmare. And if you've had that happen, I know how you feel. Clearly, I was not dreaming big enough, though. That's one realization I got from that experience. And what it was is I thought this was going to be my dream job, and I started, and it was a complete nightmare. It was nothing what I thought it was going to be like, and it hurts to have your dream broken and it feel like that was not a dream. But it's absolutely fine, because you know what? It gives us an opportunity to try out the next outfit, the next job. So because I wasn't dreaming big enough, here I am finally dreaming big enough, big and scary, right? If it's always scary to do something for the first time in our life. So then on top of that dream job turned nightmare, my dog, Zeus, as you know, I mentioned earlier, the one that we got after the twins, he died on my 30th birthday, milestone birthday. And I couldn't call in sick because I was on call. And having been raised to be responsible, I simply could, and being an empath on top of it, I simply could not screw someone else over by not showing up or calling in sick. Oh, and my anxiety had turned to full-blown crippling panic attacks after a Halloween hunt visit to the Wonderland, which was just 5 months after our dog's departure, when I was literally an open, vulnerable vessel. So, I mean, I can't tell you exactly which one of these did me in, but what I can definitely tell you is that I appreciate each and every one of those experiences now. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. I believe it was just an accumulation of all of these traumas, big and small. Some that I didn't even mention because they were just, I felt they were too small to mention, right? I'm sure you all can relate to that. And all of that really just allowed me to hit my rock bottom. Your rock bottom will or has already looked and different right? So what my rock bottom to me is different from yours, and it will look different in every person. It is never the same for any human because of how uniquely different each and every one of us is. We are literally, I kid you not, one of a kind. We really are. Earth is one of a kind show. And that's why aliens come to visit this one of a kind show. Here's a joke. I love jokes, by the way. Um, so my rock bottom was me sitting on the couch, not eating all day, not going out, not talking to anyone besides my kids. And let's be honest, those conversations weren't very fun or very engaging conversations. I would cry all day. I would vomit every single morning because I was waking up with anxiety if I was feeling good. So, or with a panic attack if I wasn't feeling good. This was my definition of what a good day and a bad day was for me. So if I woke up with anxiety, that was a good day. If I woke up with a panic attack, that was going to be a bad day. I barely cooked or cleaned. Honestly, I could not do anything because mentally I was paralyzed and I couldn't really process much. I worried about everything. My self-doubts took over my entire existence, and I no longer knew who I was or why I was even still here. I went to bed every night hoping and praying. I prayed to God. I prayed to aliens. I prayed to ghosts. I prayed to family members that passed on. I prayed to the source. I prayed to angels. Honestly, anyone good I could think of in that moment, I prayed to. Not the devil, because as the devil can go to hell for all I care. So I was doing all that I would, in hopes that I would wake up a new person and the darkness would fade away. Eventually, that's exactly what actually happened. One day, I woke up not even realizing that my anxiety wasn't even there anymore until later that morning. And because I searched for it, I questioned why it didn't want me anymore, I got it back. The next morning, it was gone again. So I stopped looking for it and it stopped looking for me. As much as I wish I could give you all, as much as I wish I could give all the credit to all the praying and hoping and all the before bedtime pleading and begging, I did. That wasn't it. Although I'm sure it helped, but what truly changed was me. I worked on myself, started following the breadcrumbs of knowledge, and learned a ton. But what swung the doors of awareness, trust, and possibilities open for me was a program called The Love Being, which I will share with you later in this webinar. And also a coach that I bought myself with the program named Rachel. I like how I just named Rachel as it is a thing. Absolutely incredible human being. Although I didn't know what experience brought me to my knees and allowed me to experience my rock bottom, I do know what did me out of this rock bottom. And that was me saying yes to myself and investing in myself because I had just begun believing that I deserved it and was worth the investment. It took me a while to say it and even longer to actually believe it. Now, when I look back, I almost don't even recognize my previous self, my old version of myself. I have acquired so many tools that have helped me and still help me in any situation that I would love to share with you on our journey together. And honestly, me sharing my story, this is just to show you what's possible. And it's more than possible for any one of you to get to the place that you want to live that dream life that you only have been dreaming of so far. And I am living proof and example of all of that. So, in sharing my story with you, I also love to share analogies, like I had told you earlier. So, this analogy is of the trees in your backyard. You can apply it to however you want in your life. So let's just say you want something in your life, or you want a couple of things in your life, right? So let's say there's 20 things that you want in your life, and you have 20 trees in your backyard. You have the option to go to the backyard and with an axe, hit only 5 times. Okay, so you go out there and you hit, the first day you hit 5 trees, the following day you hit 5 more, and then 5 more, and then 5 more. Okay, so however, that's in 20 days, you get to hit each tree one time. And eventually, you will be able to get all those trees down because the goal is to get these trees down to fall down. So that is one option, to go and hit all the 20 trees. The other option is you pick 5 trees and you hit those trees, and eventually they will also fall down. And the third option is to go out there in your backyard, pick one tree and hit that one tree 5 times a day. As you can imagine, by hitting that one tree 5 times a day, that tree will fall down a lot quicker than it would have if you only hit it, let's say, once a month. Right? You see where I'm going with this? So essentially, that is what I did. I picked a tree that I wanted to hit every single day, and that was the tree of anxiety and panic attacks and self-doubts and all of the heaviness. So I picked that one tree and I tapped it every single day 5 times. 5 times means 5 times a day you go and you do something. 5 times means 5 minutes. You decide what that 5 times means to you. So that's really what it took for me to get to where I am. So what shifted and what changed for me? Honestly, my whole entire world has shifted in every single area. Yes, including my relationships and my family. I am a better mother, I'm a better wife, caregiver, pet owner, and overall a better human being. I had decided to say yes to myself and say no to everything else that did not fall into the category of myself. So now I'd love for you to take 2 minutes and write down your intentions in the chat box. So let me know what your intentions are for this webinar. And as you're doing that, I will tell you mine, and it's plain and simple. For me, my intention is to be fully present for you and for myself and give it all that I can. So in saying that, let's look at this beautiful quote. A good leader is one who can tell another how to reach his or her potential. A great leader is the one who can help another discover the potential for him or for herself. What does that quote mean to you? What does it mean to you? Right? So I'd love to hear what that quote actually means to you, and that's why I asked it for the third time, because each and every one of us might interpret it just a little bit different, but at the end of the day, sharing is caring, and helping each other see how you view something and how they view something allows us to have more awareness into that, into this one particular quote. So what is a leader? I'm sure most of you know what a leader is, and I would love for you to put in the comments, I am, if you believe that you are a leader. What would it do for you if everyone in your life were true leaders? What if your family, your coworkers, and your friends were all leaders instead of followers? Energy leadership refers to both a particular and a unique form of leadership, and also literally to the process of leading energy so that it works for you rather than against you. So we have two basic premises. One is that everyone leads either by choice or default. And two, the higher your overall energy level, the more successful and fulfilled you'll be. Our studies show that it is 100% true, whether it's measured in finances, fulfillment, peace of mind, relationships, or more. People who have the highest level of consciousness have the most energy and report the most success in their lives. Overall life satisfaction increases as well. The benefits of raising your overall consciousness and energetic level will be many. You'll help inspire and motivate those around you, feel a great sense of purpose. You will actually resonate at a higher level of energy, which will help you get more done in less time and also attract success to you. Wouldn't you love that part? Attracting success to you instead of you chasing success. You'll also be able to make quick and accurate decisions, reduce stress, increase your engagement, and have access to your personal genius. All other aspects of your life will improve as well. And what is energy leadership about? It's not what you say that matters most, it's why you say it, which is said by Bruce D. Schneider, who is the founder of the Law of Being. I think I kind of skipped a slide there. Oh no, there's a quote right there. So I guess I'll just leave it that slide since it's already up and you guys already saw it, so you kind of know what's coming. But we'll get there in just a few seconds. So first, let me clarify what I mean when I say energy level. Though the initial theories of Albert Einstein to the quantum physics, who changed our view of life, we know a few things. Physical objects, including human beings, are actually made up of subatomic particles of moving, vibrating energy. For all practical purposes, there are two types of energy. One is anabolic and two is catabolic. Catabolic energy sounds similar to cannibal. And in a sense, they are very similar as cannibalism, like cannibalism, which eats away at your health, your finances, and success in however we measure it. It is draining and destructive. This type of energy releases chemicals such as cortisol and adrenaline, which actually eats away at our cells. And on top of it all, as you can imagine, when our cells being eaten alive, it also ages us and takes away years of life. While anabolic energy builds, heals, repairs, and creates. This type of energy releases hormones such as endorphins and dopamine into the body. It's constructive energy. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle reveals that our perception of an object changes. The object itself literally changes as we look at it. So, for example, as we look at an object, we interact with it. And by us interacting with it, what we're doing is we're actually changing what we're seeing. We emit light and thought, which are both forms of energy that permanently affects the things we observe. So for a very simplistic example, if we measure darkness with a flashlight, we would change the property of darkness to light. We create our realities based on our perceptions. Energy attracts. Unfamiliar energy goes unnoticed because you have no frame of reference for it and or not focusing on it. Your perceptions create your energy level, and that creates the world you know. I'll discuss this more in a few minutes. There are 7 levels of energy: consciousness and or awareness and leadership. with 2 levels being catabolic and the rest is anabolic. So this is where the slide is now going to come into play. So let's take a look at what energy leadership is about. Default tendencies. What that is basically throughout the years of experiences that shape our beliefs and our behaviors, we also develop our default tendencies, meaning the way we tend to perceive and react to certain situations, circumstances, the environment around us, and so on and on and on. Unless we have some way of getting a reality check, our default tendencies fire without us consciously noticing them. And we go on doing the same things we've always done, with the results being pretty much the same as well. And then we wonder why things don't change. Resonant frequencies. Your resonant frequency is your natural frequency. When you align with it, your life becomes effortless. An example of resonant frequency being out of control is trying to get a swing to swing faster or slower. You may be able to do it with a force, but helping the swing to flow with its natural resonating frequency is easy. It could be said that your natural frequency is something you rarely use or would definitely like to use more, right? As it's the highest frequency available to us. You see, naturally, we all highly conscious at our core. It's our humanness that gets in the way. Now, the reticular activating system, there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system that is always scanning our surroundings for things that are problematic, familiar, or out of place, and always tries to make sense of what we see in a way we can understand it. The challenge, however, is for us that our default tendency get us to notice and perceive the same things over and over again. So now the reticular activating system picks up as something familiar and possibly problematic, as which creates a double whammy of sorts. And it continues to point out these common situations, concerns, frustrations, and etc. It points them all out to us over and over and over again. Without interrupting the system, you will literally see the same things repeatedly. You won't ever see things differently, quite literally. However, energy leadership is a way of interrupting this process so you can consciously decide what you want to see in your surroundings and in others, and of course in yourself. This change enables you to place the things you want to notice in your reticular activating system so that you can break this self-perpetuating cycle. Law of attraction and the automatic abundance attractor. What that is basically there is a lot around today about the law of attraction. It is really great stuff. However, the law of attraction is about reframing and refocusing negatives to create positives, or at best, manifesting what you want by shifting your perspective and focus. Energy leadership is about the law of being. This means when you raise your overall level of consciousness, you don't have to change or create new thoughts. Your natural default thoughts will always be attracting success. We call this the automatic abundance attractor. All these relate to self-creating, self-fulfilling prophecies. Now we get what we expect. So how do we get what we expect? We get what we expect by simply being aware and by being and not doing. And it becomes evidence to support our creations. So what am I about to show you has changed the lives of countless people from all walks of life. What is your self-concept? How do you see yourself? Let me know in the comments. How do you see yourself? And what is your self-concept. This is how other people see you. Or maybe even ask a question with this one. Is this how other people see you? How you see yourself? How do you see yourself? It actually indicates your energy level of consciousness, and the determining factor for how you see yourself and the world quite accurately, to be honest. So when I speak of energy, I'm not referring only to physical energy, I'm also referring to emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual energy. Mostly, I'm referring to your particular energetic profile. Like Einstein and many scientists who followed have told us, everything in this universe, including us, is vibrating energy. We are energetic beings, and based on how we think, feel, and act, we are constantly experiencing and sharing either anabolic energy, which works for us, or catabolic energy, which works against us. There are actually 7 levels of energy or consciousness at which we can resonate. Our average resonating level, which you see right here on this slide in front of you right now, is the average of all of your various day-to-day and thought-to-thought energy. So the average resonating level of energy falls somewhere on the scale between 1 to 7. It is comprised, I was going to say compromised, but that's not the right word. So it's comprised of both the sum total of every thought we've ever had and every emotion we've ever felt and every action we've ever taken, as well as those we are thinking, feeling, and doing at present. Your average resonating level is the average of all of your various day-to-day and thought-to-thought energy. Each person's energy level varies based on the various aspects of life. So no two people have the same energetic makeup. Has anyone ever bought a stock? So the stock market analogy, I like that one. So like a stock, your energy level can go up and down. And depending upon how you perceive and respond to what's happening in your world and life. Your average resonating level determines your energetic makeup, viewpoint of the world, physical and mental health, ability to lead, and level of success. So people resonating at lower levels tend to attract all things negative and react accordingly. Quite literally, a black cloud follows them around, while those resonating at higher levels attract and experience more ease, opportunity, power, and success. These are the ones that just seem to have the Midas touch. I'm sure you've heard that one or seen people that you might have thought have a Midas touch. Or lower resonating people might say they are lucky enough to just keep stepping in it. And here's some great news. We have the ability to alter our energy level, our level of consciousness, and that has a huge impact on our lives and the people we work with, those we live with, and on our own bodies. In fact, your energy level, your average resonating level, or as we like to call it, your E factor, is the #1 factor determining your level of success in life. So let's take a look at this next chart. So this chart is called the energetic self-perception chart. It's called the energetic self-perception chart because based on how you perceive yourself, you exhibit or embody a certain level of energy. You'll see to the left the core thought, in the middle is the core emotion, and on the right, it's the core action and the result. That's how the chart reads from left to right. So every level has a thought associated with it. There's a lot of other thoughts, but these are the core thoughts. And the feelings section, there are 7 core feelings. Again, a lot more emotions in between these levels. So to the right, when you think and feel a certain way, you tend to act in a certain way. So the left is the cause and the right is the effect. Let's just go through the chart really quickly. On here, the inner circle, you will see that the first two levels. So I'll show you how to use this chart and take advantage of it as well. So one thing to consider as we discuss the 7 levels of energy is that each energy level is exponentially more powerful than the one beneath it. I'm not saying the higher energy levels are better, they're only higher. What you do with this information is your choice, right? And each level of energy has both advantages and disadvantages. So there's no better level, there's no worse level, there's no good levels, there's no bad levels. All of them have their advantages and disadvantages. So level 1, as you see here on the screen, is the victim thinking. Those who have an average resonating level in this area are primarily victims. That is, victims to thoughts, beliefs, emotions, perceptions, and more that actually work against them. And in some aspects of life, we all have some victim energy. Victim energy includes guilt, self-doubt, low self-esteem, and perhaps not in general, but in any particular aspect of life. Level 1 also includes most fear, worry, and more. With enough of that energy, you hit the bottom, which is complete victim, and your apathy and lethargy ensures. Between 1 and 2, you are sluggish at best, and so is your productivity level. This level is a heavy one, and this is the level that I recognize myself in sometimes still. Like I said, there is no good or bad levels, and all of them have advantages and disadvantages. But this is the level that I realized I was living in for quite a few years. And enough of this energy can potentially paralyze us in a way. So for level 1, how does this level show up for you? Whether on daily basis or once in a while, and maybe in just one particular area of your life or in a couple of different areas of your life. Now let's talk about the level 2, which anger. Level 2 is the world that most of us experience in our day-to-day life. It is the conflict range. And there may be a lot of level 1 emotions as well, but the main one for level 2 is anger. Some very successful people actually have a lot of level 2 energy, but they are usually unhappy and almost always unhealthy. They manage others by force, which creates the sense of separation, as I spoke about earlier. Others with similar energy express it differently by turning it inward on themselves. They are still just as angry either at themselves or others, but just keep steaming and stewing until they explode or implode one day. So for yourself, what do you think the advantage of increasing this level would be? Or maybe the disadvantage would be for increasing this level. Perhaps you might want to lower this level. Like I said, this is what the world is really utilizing quite often and quite a bit. So this is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I do the work that I do. And going back to my story, that level 2 was and is extremely familiar to me, especially in the leaders who I like to refer to as boss. And that's why my boss said to me, I have a business to run, which is level 2. Level 2 approach. Now let's go to the next slide, which is this is where the anabolic levels are starting. And the level 3 is the first one on this anabolic level. Level 3 is a responsibility for how you interpret things and your role in making things better for yourself. At this level, you take responsibility for how you feel about anything and anyone. At this level, no one controls your reactions or emotions. The result is that you forgive yourself and others and rationalize things that don't work in order to accept them. This includes... Okay, but you're not going, okay, sweetie? Why? Real life. Yeah, for friends, as always. Okay, so this, trying to gather my thoughts again. Milchka, no, I'm not having this discussion right now. I asked you politely to give me some time. All right? I'm sure all of you guys are understanding what is going on here, what I'm feeling, and that is annoyance. But let's get to level 3, which is a perfect level for right now, isn't it? See, everything happens for a reason. So let's rationalize through this interruption. And I'm going to apologize for it because, that's a polite thing to do and it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I'm not really sorry for it because it's out of my control for the most part, right? We can't control anyone around us. We can't even control ourselves for the most part. So I was at a point where we were talking about forgiving yourself and others and rationalizing things that don't work in order to accept them. So here I am rationalizing things to accept them so they work for me, even though it might not work for some of you. So this includes people in your life, and the result, the dog is excited. The result is that while you may judge them, you can cooperate with them. So while you might judge me and my children, you might find yourself cooperating with me in this situation that has just happened, which some of you might forget and some of you might remember. Who knows? We'll see at the end what you recall the most from this entire webinar. So we use this level quite often. In what situations do you find yourself using this level? Right? I had just used it now. And how do you find yourself using this level? Whether it's on a daily basis or once in a while it shows up for you. But this is, for the most part, as well, where a lot of people are spending their time in, rationalizing through things and making it tolerable. So now the level 4. Level 4 is caring, giving, and helping. It is concern for others before concern for our own self. Many people think they are level 4 because they want to help others, but if their intention is to first help themselves, example, helping others simply to feel better about yourself, the wounded helper. They're probably coming from a level 1 instead. Remember, it's not what you say that matters most, it's why you say it. It is the intention behind the words. The actions in many levels may look the same, but the energy and consciousness can vary greatly. One more thing about level 4 energy is that caring, nurturing energy of level 4 is not only about helping others, but also how we nurture projects, our jobs, and ourselves, including our own bodies. The difference between this level and those below it is that at level 4, we nurture ourselves and others because we want to, not because we need to. And to be clear, if it's a choice between ourselves and others, at level 4, we choose others first. So for level 4, what benefit do you see for yourself at this level, of increasing this level? Or how is this level helping you? Maybe that might be the question that you would like, you like better. Level 5, which reconciles good and bad and begins to see everything as an opportunity. At this level, you accept the process of life and you play the game well. You experience peace of mind with a feeling of control of your life, not control over others. At this level, no matter what happens outside of you, you experience a sense of joy within. An example of level 5 thinking can be found in Edison's attempts to invent the light bulb. After his 999th experiment didn't produce a working light bulb, his assistant asked, "How can you keep trying when you continue to fail time and time?" Edison smiled and retorted, "Don't be silly. I've simply learned 999 ways to not invent the light bulb." So, needless to say, not only did Edison obviously eventually succeeded, but in his so-called failings, he discovered several dozen other inventions and key scientific principles. Level 5 thinkers often find meaning and purpose in learning in everything they experience. So without his so-called failures, we would all we wouldn't have all of these other inventions, right? So perhaps the world would be quite different if Edison did not exert or use his level 5 energy. Some people might call people who keep going after their dreams crazy. I'm sure some of you might have experienced that firsthand, or maybe perhaps you might have found yourself calling somebody crazy. I know I have over the years, and that is because they're just scared for themselves, and they don't see what you see. They don't understand what you understand, and that's until they're proven otherwise. Their fear is what causes them to use such harsh judgments and language. So now let's hop on to the next slide, which is level 6. This is definitely one of my favorite levels. Level 5 is my favorite level by far, but level 6 is my next favorite level. So level 6 is of synthesis, which is the sense of connection between you and everyone and everything else. It's a powerful place where intuition, or as many successful people would describe it, our gut feeling comes alive. Creative geniuses and some business professionals and other high-level success stories in all walks of life continually tap into this level. That doesn't mean their average is there, only that they use level 6 energy to their advantage. So level 6 can take any experience and create it anew. How do you think level 6 shows up for you in your life, if it has? I'm sure it has. Some of you might not be aware of how it showed up, and some of you might have. But I'd love to hear how it shows up for you. And while you're doing that, let's hop on to level 7. Level 7 is the level of truth. The easiest way to look at it is that it's like the color white, which encompasses all the other colors in the spectrum. At this level, life is created each moment using all the other levels at will, without fear, judgment, or concern, and with absolute passion about all experiences. This is the level of pure creation, and those who tap into this level are the most powerful people in the world. Level 7 creates new experiences. Being in the moment, let's call it a flow state. I know a lot of people are familiar with that phrase, the flow state, or perhaps that experience. Some of you might think, I've never experienced this level, but I can guarantee you that you have, or still do tap into this level at least once in a while. Moments of flow, happiness, and pure joy. Everyone has access to it, to this level, and with practice, we can all go there at will. We can choose it and we can go to this level by choice and on demand. And if you have experienced this level, again, I would love to hear how it has showed up for you. Your level of consciousness determines your view of the world and your reaction to events. So for example, let's say you're a married man and your wife asks you to help with a small project around the house. You say no and give no further explanation. And based on your wife's level of energy, she will most likely view that as follows. So at level 1, which is the victim, my husband doesn't love me enough to do this for me. This leads to apathy, hopelessness, depression, guilt, and despair. Level 2, conflict. My husband is selfish, inconsiderable jerk. I'm sure some of you might have had this thought at some point. I know I have. I never said it was perfect. And I know quite a few people are utilizing this type of language outwardly or inwardly. It still does the same kind of damage, whether it's inside or outside. Now, even thought, though some wives would actually say this, it is just as devastating when they think it and don't say it. This is the blame game, and the result will likely be anger, resentment, and or revenge. I never like that word, revenge, and that's why I emphasize that word. Don't like it, don't use it. Mm-mm. It's not part of my vocabulary. And at level 3, the response would be responsibility. So I don't like that he said no, but I'm sure my husband would have helped me if I had asked him at another time when he wasn't so busy. So this type of response leads to forgiveness by the wife, but will not change the core feelings or actions very much, which are typically that of level 1 and 2. So level 4, which is concern, my husband must be very tired, or maybe something else is wrong. What can I do to help him? This leads to more of an effort by the wife to help. The primary reward is the feeling of satisfaction for helping to make things better. It's not about the wife any longer, and she hasn't taken her husband's response personally. Level 5, reconciliation. I see how things are. I'm sure I can create a way to not only help my husband get more time to relax, but also because of that, maybe he'll even help me with that really big project I've been wanting to do. So this type of response leads to a brainstorming session of a mutual gain. Level 6, sympathies. So response at this level from a wife would be, I feel great for being in this relationship. It offers so much variety and experience. Maybe he'll help me later on. I didn't really need help anyway, just thought it would be more fun if we did it together. So with this type of response, there is no negative or positive direct result from this type of thinking, as this woman is already at a very high level and thus would not be negatively affected by any bad news, as there are no bad news. At level 7, creation. Nothing actually occurred on a quantum level. There is no time, no past, no present or future. Everything is pure creation. For a more practical perspective, if this woman were actually able to access this level, she would be able to utilize any of the below levels as she chooses. And there is an important point. Unlike those who actually at those levels, this woman would be able to use them instead of having them use her. Actually, no one in this world has an average at this level. We can only tap into it, accessing no judgment, and our own creative geniuses. So I wanted to pause on a moment here and see if anyone has any questions at this point. And I'll quickly just scroll through the chat box, the group chat here. Oh, thank you, Fiona. Yes, my daughter is awesome, and I love her too, even though it's a little bit difficult sometimes. I know some of you had to go, and then you're back. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. So Nahid said that you get too many ideas and get excited and very creative at level 6. Love that. Awesome. And that's what also happens at that level for sure. Okay, so all of you seem to be on the same page, and you get exactly where I'm coming from and what I'm sharing with you all. That's awesome. I love that. So some of what may or may not make sense. But let's get very practical and talk about how the theory behind all this can play out in your role as a leader. Here are some amazing statistics. Let me switch to that slide so you can take a look at the statistics as I'm kind of getting to all the numbers. Remember what I said about your E factor determining your success in life? In fact, your average resonating level vary greatly between people who are successful and those who aren't. There really is an energy factor of success, and this is the study that actually shows it. To more easily understand this, a research study was conducted from a random selection of about 100 people from a sample group who have taken the Energy Leader Index Assessment, which I refer to as ELI, which I'll tell you about later. So the difference between those who scored about 2.5 and those who scored only slightly higher, to about 3, showed that those whose average resonating level were only 0.5 higher reported all of the things that you're seeing. So 20% increase in the financial success. And this is all from just a 0.5 difference of shifting their average resonating level, and 10% increase of self-described leadership. I'm not gonna read all of them just for the sake of time as well, but you guys, I'm sure, have read them and you can see them in the front. And you're more than welcome to also take a screenshot and take a look at them later, as I'm sure some of these will speak very loudly to you. So for those who are statistic enthusiasts, you know that these are very statistically significant numbers. Now just think about raising your E factor and what could that do for you in all areas of your life. And remember, that was just a difference between 2.5 and 3. So if you are interested in checking out a video of what ELI, Energy Leadership Index, looks like, and what it kind of sounds like, and get a little bit more familiar of what it is, what I'll do is I will actually share, let me see if I can go to the messages. Yep, there we go. I'll share a link to a YouTube video that my coach and I did, actually, and we shared both of ours. So I shared mine and hers, and you can actually, this is the beautiful part, you will get to see my very first energy leadership assessment that I did, ELI that I did, which was just over a year ago. And then you get to see another one that I did exactly a year afterwards. So a year difference. And this is all from me working with a coach one-on-one and doing the law of being and all the other things that I also was doing on the side myself. If you're curious, I am more than happy to share that with you as well. You just need to connect with me. Um, no, sweetie, I'm not done. I will let you know when I'm done. Okay, thank you. You're the best. So feel free to check that video out later. You can save the link. You can and look at it and tell me what you think. There's a little bit more in that video as well, but the basis of that video was about the ELI assessment. So the next slide, I love quotes. I already said that once, and I'm gonna continue saying it. So this one is awesome. Fail to honor people, they fail to honor you. But a good leader who talks little, when his work is done and him aim fulfilled, they will say, we did this ourselves. And this one is from 5th century BC. So next, I would absolutely love your participation and do a little bit of role playing, if you will. So we will have a scenario in front of us, and I would love two people who would love to read the first scenario, and then two people, you can be the same people as well, that would like to read the second scenario, and then we can discuss it afterwards. So this is the first scenario, and I would love to see who wants to do this, whether with me or two people that want to do it themselves. You can just put it down in the chat box. Let me get my thing up. Who wants to do it, or even unmute yourself and help me out on this one if you're able to. So Nahid, it looks like you want to read one part, and you can pick which one you want to read. Awesome. So Nahid, I'll do that with you then. So that way the rest of you can choose to do the second one afterwards. So which one do you want to be, Nahid?
Oh, I want to be the catabolic mother.
Ooh, awesome. So
yes.
You go right ahead and start.
Okay. I just saw your report card. You better improve your grades if you expect to get into college.
What do you want from me? I'm doing the best I can.
Well, obviously, that's not good enough. Just study harder and don't spend so much time on that computer of yours.
But Mom, that's the only way I get to talk to my friends, and I'm just so busy.
End of discussion. I'm really disappointed in you. Get those grades up or else.
Awesome. Good job, Nahid. Awesome. I love that. I love your dramatics as well, because that's how it would sound.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. So this is where I'd love for you guys to, like this, we can discuss the catabolic later, how the mother showed up and how did that make you feel. If you want to speak, you can speak, or if you want to type it up, you can type it up, whichever way works for me. We can all understand the mother. We definitely can.
Yeah, I'd like to say that. Yeah, that definitely reminds me, not with, I mean, conversations I've had growing up at times, but not necessarily only with my mom. It would be both parents, but not on the computer, more like hanging out on the phone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the way, and you mentioned how the mother showed up. So for me, I'm seeing like she was already, you know, in an instant level one, right? Like she didn't really seem open to even have a discussion about it or listen to her teenage daughter or son or whomever. So yeah, so and you can feel it with the words as well.
Yeah.
So I found that quite quite noticeable
Mhm.
from reading.
You're right. And I would just say that she showed up more from a level 2 because there was anger and the whole end of it, end of discussion. That is a typical level 2 response to a situation. Do as I say or else.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank
But,
you. Yeah.
yeah, but there's the inner conversation is the level 1 where she's telling herself all the other reasons why she needs to do this and she needs to talk to him that way, otherwise she's failing as a mother. So that's the internal dialogue that goes on, and then it switches to the level 2 anger and just frustration and nothing goes my way, which is a mixture of level 1 and level 2. Awesome, thank you so much for that participation.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So for the second scenario, anybody else wants to volunteer themselves and do it with me? So this is the, hold on.
I can, but I might get interrupted.
Oh, that's okay. Awesome, Fiona. Let's do that.
Awesome.
Okay, so which one do you want to be? We're good.
I'll be the teenager.
You'll be the teenager. Awesome. I'll be the anabolic mother. Awesome.
Awesome.
So I just saw your report card. It seems like you might need some help in school. What's going on?
I know. My grades have slipped this semester. I'm just so busy between sports and my friends and everything else. I just can't find a time for everything.
You are really busy, and I'm happy that you have a full life. What ideas can you come up with to help you have it all, including the grades you actually want?
Well, I love being on my computer. Maybe I can make up a chart and figure out how I'm really spending my time now. And I can ask Jane how she does it. She always seems to find time for everything.
Fantastic. How can I support you? Awesome. This was good. Thank you, Fiona. So, what did you notice about that noun?
With this, it's more supportive. It's not demanding. I feel like I'm being heard as the teenager, being understood, and together we find a solution.
Yes, exactly. And this is where the teenager actually had ideas when the energy was anabolic, whereas the previous scenario, there was no ideas. It was just wall, right? This is where we start to build the wall when catabolic energy is thrown at us, and it doesn't feel good, right? We all know how that feels. So this is why we are here, to help ourselves shift that energy and help those around us shift their energy as well and become more aware of how they're showing up. So the next slide is a great one, a great example of quite a few things that you ladies have noticed about the previous scenarios. So these are the differences between the anabolic and catabolic leaders. So as you can see, the catabolic leader manages, delegates fully. Here's the project, you go and do it, you figure it out, gives information, self-assesses, works in crisis mode, so panicking, frantically running around like a chicken with no head. This was one of my bosses I used to work with, and that was what we referred to her when she was in that state. Disconnects emotionally, uses left brain analysis, deals with problems, and takes advantage of others. Now, the anabolic leader, however, the anabolic leader leads, participates in responsibilities and tasks, shares detailed information, considers feedback from others, plans ahead and holds others accountable, utilizes emotional awareness, uses whole brain thinking, sees only opportunities, sees the true human resource. So we don't see our own gifts, but we do see gifts in others. And that's quite often what anabolic leader actually does as well. So the next one is the one I had promised you all as well, which is, it's called GALES. That's the short acronym that Bruce D. Schneider had come up with. He's the creator of IPEC. That's the coaching school that I had gone through, and I'm pretty much done, just about to do my exam. So yay for me, my next accreditation is coming and there is more to come. Hence the whole part of me dreaming bigger now, because I wasn't dreaming big enough before. So GALES are the big 4 catabolic energy blocks. Gremlins is the first one. Gremlin is the inner voice that tells you in one way or another that you are not good enough. I'm sure, actually, I'm not sure. I know each and every human being has this voice. It might be quiet, it might be whispering, it might be loud, or it might be screaming. I know from my experience, when I was telling you, when I was at my rock bottom, that gremlin was running my life. It was running my day-to-day life, and it used so many different words, so many different sentences and phrases that tell me and remind me how shitty and horrible person I was, and I was never good enough for anyone and in anything that I did, which of course was not the truth, but it was true for me at that time. I just didn't know it. The next one is assumptions, and that is an expectation that because something happened in the past, it will happen again. Share one assumption that you had made in the past, or an example. So for example, I know some people, so one example that was shared with me was dating life, that a person has made an assumption that they were out on a date and the woman didn't call him back and she wasn't replying to messages. So he assumed, he made an assumption that it was because the way he dressed and his personality, and because of that, he had a really difficult time going out and having dates later on, because this was the assumption that he brought to each and every date. And of course, energy transfers, and that is felt. So the next one is interpretation, which is a story, opinion, or judgment that you create about an event, situation, person, or experience, and actually believe it to be true. So can you think of one example, right? So the way we see the world, how we create a certain interpretation of something that we had experienced. The last one is limiting belief, which is basically a generalization, a stereotype or idea that you learned and accepted about yourself, or about the world, or about other people, that actually limits you in some ways. And all of us have these blocks. Some of them are a lot more potent than others, but we still all have them. So limiting beliefs is something that perhaps we might have heard over the years, over our lifetime, that plays in the back of our mind. So something like money doesn't grow on trees. That is a limiting belief. Even though it doesn't literally grow on trees, but the limiting belief of that comes basically from the fact that we can't have money. We have to work really, really hard to have money and stuff like that. So at the bottom, as you can see, there is a beautiful quote: treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you help them to become what they are capable of being. Um, and as a leader, you can inspire yourself and others to greatness. It's up to you. Your door is now open. You can go through in many different directions. You can even open up some windows of opportunity. So my absolute favorite question of everything, the entire entire life. Um, what is your biggest takeaway from our time together today? And I love for you to really take the time to think and ponder on it, or chances are you already have that right on the tip of your tongue and you've just been sitting and waiting to share what spoke to you the loudest and what was your biggest takeaway from our time together. So like it says right there, share it in the chat box with everyone and for everyone's benefit, as well as for yourself. So I'll take a look at those as we go, and this is where I'll ask a few questions, and I'll just ask them fairly quickly just to get the gears really moving in the direction that you want them to move, right? So what difference would it make in your life if you could identify your current energy level at any given point in time and choose to shift or stay there? Because remember, there are advantages and disadvantages to each level, and there are no good or bad levels. It's just being aware of all of these levels and how they're showing up, and then choosing to shift or stay. So what would change what difference would it make in your life if you could identify your current energy level at any given point in time and choose to shift or stay there? To know how you are showing up for yourself and the world around you daily. Remember, awareness is the first step, followed by conscious choice. What would change in your life if you just said yes to yourself more and no to the things you truly want to say no to? Because a lot of us are in a habit of people pleasing, and people pleasing is not the way to live. It is the way we help others to live while forgetting about the most important person in the world, which is yourself. What would it be worth to you? Why do people even invest in themselves? That's a really good question that I asked myself all those years ago, and I have my answers, but I'm not going to give you my answers because I want you to come up with your own answers. What else would you love to learn that will benefit you and those around you and the world you're living in? And this is where I will ask you the same question I asked in the very beginning. Why me? Why me? Well, I hope this entire presentation has allowed you to see why. Feel free to share it with me and with everyone in the chat box, why you believe I am the right person to help you on this journey. Why me, right? Why choose me? And I love to see how different everyone's responses to the why question will be, because we all walk away, we watch the same movie and we walk away with different realizations, different lessons, different experience. And that just goes to prove just how different each and every one of us is. I had always said yes to everyone else in my life for many years, but I rarely said yes to myself. When was the last time you had said yes to yourself? And most importantly, how has that changed your life? Because when we say yes to ourselves, we create a shift. And our life literally changes one yes at a time. And the same thing goes for no. Our life changes one no at a time. So being keeping integrity to yourself is one and the most important value of mine. And it is a very important value for many people. They might not just be aware of it, but this is the reason why when we say yes to things we want to say no to, or we say no to things that we want to say yes to, we are essentially just lying to ourselves. And instead of doing that, we can just start saying more yes to ourselves and living the life that we actually want to live. So this is your time to decide how you will start saying yes to yourself before others, putting yourself first. So decide, when I say decide, the word decide actually means is to cut off all other possibilities. So once you decide to say more yes or no, depending what that means, right? Then you decide and nothing else will get in the way. And the next question is, why now? I mean, if not now, then when? All right. So the example I like to give to this question is the one that I learned from a Disney movie. It's, if you guys have Disney Channel, it's on there. The movie's called Onward. And every time I watch this scene, I literally just feel really warm and tingly, and I get a lump in my throat, and that means the tears are coming, and I start crying because it speaks so deeply to me. So in the movie Onward, I'm not going to give you the details, but basically it came the scene that if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So the two brothers, one was shrunk, he was in the pocket, he couldn't drive anymore, he was the older one. And the younger one previously had gone through a driving lesson, but he wasn't ready, as he said to the driver, and the driver said, okay, pull over. So in this scenario, the younger brother needs to drive because there's no other option, and you need to get away really fast. So he gets behind the wheel and he says, his brother says, drive, and he says, I can't drive, I'm not ready. And his brother yells to him and says, you will never be ready, just drive. And that is why I'm here doing this webinar. I'm not 100% professional, as you might see other people doing webinars, but I decided that I was just going to drive. Whatever it is that I was doing, I was just going to drive. I was going to do it and give it my best and give it my all. That's what I'm here for. I'm giving my best and giving it my all, however I can in this given point in time. It will get better. As for him, he became a better driver over time, right? And then going back to the 300 falls that it takes a child to take until they actually learn to walk. If it takes you 300 times to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you will fall and you will fall and you will fall, guess what? You're going to get right back up and you're going to continue going and doing whatever it is that you were doing, because you are determined and because you know that eventually you will succeed. And part of success is actually failure, because otherwise those two cannot exist on their own. They coexist. It's a beautiful symphony. It's a beautiful harmony. So if you're really ready to say yes to yourself and invest in yourself, here are a few options of how you can do that and how you can work with me. So the first option I will share with you is the law of being, which is I'll just tell you a little bit. I was planning on showing all of the things that I had, but I will just physically show you the ones that I do have. So the other ones are in the basement. We're renovating our basement, so it's kind of barricaded and I can't even get to it. But so the CDs, there's 12 CDs that you get. I put the elastic in there myself to keep it all together, so I don't have to keep it in a binder. But as you can see in the picture, it comes with a binder, which is a big binder, and a workbook. I have my tabs on here for each city that I had worked through, and I like to keep this clean for myself. So I was filling it out on a side for myself, and it comes with a journal, which is just a little bit, just a tiny bit smaller than this. And you can put this in your binder as well. And it comes with the Energy Leadership book. It's absolutely incredible book, and it talks about the energy levels and allows you to see it in a real life scenario as well. So as you can see, so with this program, if you choose this option, you get all of the things that you see on the screen here. So the ELI, the Energy Leadership Index Assessment, which you do online yourself, and then an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes debrief with me, the workbook, the 12 cities, the leadership book, journal, binder, and just to kind of summarize what the law of being is, which you kind of got a taste of up until this point, but basically what the law of being is, it's a complete self-mastery program for unlocking your potential. Focus on the being topics you might bring to your coaching session. So this program focuses intensely on the who, on your belief systems and who you believe you are and what you believe about the world. The Law of Being program states who you are being is based on your level of conscious awareness of who you really are. This principle determines what and who you are going to attract and what type of life you will live. Each person who participates in the Law of Being is unique, and the program is designed to meet you exactly where you are. Each person will experience this program differently. It is truly your journey, and I will walk beside you if you decide to work with me through the program. The Law of Being program contains the four fundamental pieces: the Law of Being, the being on your journey, and who you are being, and being at choice. Each talks about how you come to be who you are being now, and how you can break through any limitations that are holding you back. These sections cover the energy levels, the gales, like we mentioned before, the gremlins, assumptions, interpretations, and limiting beliefs, and other fundamental concepts. So this option is where you basically purchase the program. It is mailed to you, to your mailbox, to your door, however your mail delivery is set up. And then you go through it all on your own. You would just get the 90 minutes of a debrief with me after you complete your ELI assessment. So the average market price for this program on its own is about $1,600, $1,600. And I have actually seen people sell just the program itself without anything else. Well, of course, with the ELI for $20,000, which, I mean, who knows, right? I know they bring a lot more value to the marketplace, and that's why they're able to sell it for that much. But my price for you today would be $600, which really comes out to be $7 a day for the 12 weeks. And having worked at the bank and liking numbers, I like to really come down to how much will this cost me, and how much will it cost me per day, and kind of have a better understanding of, oh, okay, so I spend $7 a day on muffin and coffee anyways, and maybe even eating lunch, and is this worth to save this money and spend it on myself in other ways? Different type of an investment in ourselves, right? And this is the one that will change and shift your life in the way that you allow it to. And my experience is different from the one that you would have yourself as well, and those people that have gone through it. So the second option is to just have the Energy Leadership Index Assessment done with a debrief, which is an online assessment, and then 90-minute personalized debrief with me. And once again, the average price, which is the market value, is $650. And today would be just $300 to do it with me. And we've talked a lot about today about the energy of success, right? What you like to know about, wouldn't you like to know your E factor? And this is the tool that will allow you to see that physically. And the video that I shared before, this is the video that will allow you to see what it looks like and what it's all about, and help you to have a better understanding based on two people's experiences, which is mine and Rachel's. That's what you'll see in the video, and you'll get to really be more familiar with it. And whether you purchase this option on its own or with a program, or however you want to do it, or you don't purchase anything, I would highly recommend to go check that video out as well, and really just to even understand and see what it's all about. So the next option that I have available for you, and also, like, I know people ask, when do I get to start? Because some people get very eager and it's like, okay, I want to start now. How do I start now? So with the very first option, when you're just getting the program yourself, really, once you get it in the mail, you can just start it, and you can complete it at your own pace. There's no timeline. You do it on your own. You're doing it at your own pace. You can take a week to do it, which will be really, really speedy, but it's possible. Everything is possible. Anything is possible. Or you can take 12 weeks, or you can take a year to do it, right? 12 months, one a month. It's your choice. With the ELI, assessment and debrief, it's really, you pay for it, then you do the assessment online, and then we schedule the appointment, and we get that done. So with this one here, the lobbying and the one-on-one coaching with me. So basically, what would that look like? That's what I did. So I purchased a program, and I started my one-on-one coaching with Rachel, where I was going week by week with this CD, and then once a week we would get together, and we would basically have a session one-on-one. So it's a very personalized program when it's paired with an iPad graduate, and it's 16 weeks long, which also includes 45-minute one-on-one sessions, plus the 190-minute ELI energy leadership index debrief with me. All the lobbying products that you saw on the first page also includes the access to my VIP group with all the benefits of it, including the live Q&A each week videos that I will be doing as well. And also you get to connect with people that are going through the same thing at the same time as you. The bonus with purchasing this program or this option, you will get one weekly check-in to keep yourself on track. And what does that mean? A voice message, we can have a voice message, or a 15-minute conversation with me. And really, now breaking down the price, because the average, as you can see, is $3,500, my price would be $1,500. So to break that down, and the daily cost, it's just $13 a day, right? It's just $13 a day. And plus, you also get to keep the system your entire life, and you can go back to it or revisit it anytime you want to. That is actually what I do. Every time I get in my car, my CD is always playing one of the CDs. My kids know what to expect, because I love to re-listen to it. And I typically don't like to re-listen to things, but these CDs are absolutely incredible. I kid you not. And anyone who has gone through this program has seen tremendous changes and shifts in their life, in their personal life, and literally the world. For me, my entire world had shifted. I gained so much more awareness. I was already very aware and self-aware, but I gained so much more. I can't even put it down in words. It's more of feelings. So, and with this one, when do we start? Because this one is, you start once the assessment is done. When you complete it online, when it's done, you receive all the materials, then we can start with the debrief, and then start our time together. And we schedule weekly sessions. We decide together how we're going to go about it. So the next option is love being with group coaching. So this one is the one that a lot of people also find a great deal of benefit when it comes to working through a program as a group. One-on-one is a lot more, there's a lot more accountability when it's one-on-one because I keep you accountable. And I make sure, and you make sure that you show up, and I show up every time we have our meeting together. But with the group, there you get to also communicate and connect with other people that are going through the group coaching together, and you get to share, and it's different kind of a personalization. And then together we have the weekly 1 hour Zoom meeting for 16 weeks, and it'll actually be about for 17 weeks because the debrief is a separate one that I will do for you guys. Plus, you get the access to my VIP group as well with all the support, all the benefits, and the live videos and the Q&As and all that. And then I will also be, so the Zoom meetings that we will be doing, the group meetings, I can also record them as well and share them in the group so anyone can rewatch it anytime they want to as well. And those that might have missed it, which I prefer not, because we carve out time every single week, just like if it was for one-on-one. I expect everyone to show up for themselves. It's not showing up for me, it's showing up for yourself. One-on-one coaching is the same thing. You're showing up for yourself, not for the other person. Because otherwise, if your intention is to show up for me, then the coaching essentially comes out to be for me, not for you, right? The goal is for you to show up for yourself. So with that, you also get individual online ELI assessment that you get to fill out, and the 90-minute debrief as a group. And the bonus with this one is each person that is in this group will, because I'm looking at when I'm going to be starting this, and I'm starting, so the group coaching is going to start possibly on the 27th of July. I'll see how many people are in the group. And so basically what's going to happen is those people that sign up prior to the 27th will also get one free session with me one-on-one of 45 minutes. And as you can see, the price, my price, why the 411s? I honestly, I like 1111. I see that number quite often, and I felt that there would be, I can't tell you. I just wanted to put 11, 11, 11, and that was that was the reason. No, honestly, I believe that the 11, 11, 11 will speak to the right type of people that want to be part of the group coaching, and that is the reason why. So, and again, comes down to how much does it cost a day? A day, it would be really $9 a day, which quite cheap if you really, really ask me, right? So the next option we have is personal coaching, one-on-one with me, without the law of being, which is just with me. This is basically for those people that know what they want, or at least have an idea of what they want, and they have a few topics or a few things that they want to work on, which basically means that for every session, you will be bringing a topic to the session, and you and I sit together and we work on this topic. So, I mean, to give you an example, so sometimes a person might want to come up with a plan of something that they want to go after, or create a list of goals and start going down that list, or work on a particular goal, or work on a particular dream. And goals and dreams are different. And it does make quite a bit of a difference when we understand the difference between the two. So to just, I guess, summarize the differences between the two so you have a little bit of an understanding is a goal is something that you have already had and achieved before. Now you just want to better it and have better. And a dream is something that you have never had and you want to have. So I'll use an example of a house. So if you have never had a house before, your own house, then it is a dream because you've never had it. But if you have already had a house you just want a bigger house or a smaller house, or perhaps you might want a mansion of some sort, or even buy a cottage, then that is a goal because you've already had a property, you own a property, and that's why it becomes a goal. So that's just the very simple explanation of the difference. And as you can see, everything that is included in the personal coaching with me for 3 months, which is 12 weeks. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's your session, it's your time. We spend it however you want. Some people have actually spent a session with me just talking and talking things out and talking things through. So, and to give you a price point of a daily cost, which is $21 a day. And okay, so what I can do at this point is share the last slide. Don't you love it when we get to the end? I know I do. I get really excited when we complete the things that we wanted to complete. And as you see on the screen, this is how you can contact me and connect with me as I'm trying to copy and paste things in this chat box. So all of you so everyone gets a direct link to all of the connect with me options. So in saying that, once you decide that you want to work with me, these are the options of how you can connect with me, and we will figure it all out. And if you have questions, connect with me and I can answer any questions for you. And my favorite quote at the very bottom, as you can see, live the life of your choosing and the one you would be proud to live. This is the quote I really, really love, and I've been living up to this quote's standards, if you will, for quite some time, ever since I really started really working on myself. So at this point, I want to give you a gift. So a gift from me to you. So if you watched this far and you're still here to the end on the live webinar, not the replay. I just wanted to mention that as well, because I know a lot of people would be like, oh my God, I want this, but you needed to be on here live. And this is where the very quote in the beginning, I wish I was here. You get a gift of one free 45-minute coaching session with me, one-on-one. You and I will sit down and work on one topic that you want to bring to the session. And whatever it is, it will greatly benefit you. And that way you get to, because how would I put it? You get a taste of what coaching is like and what it's all about. And it will help you better understand if it's even for you. Right? It's like, you know, when you go to an ice cream shop and there's so many different flavors of ice cream and there are no spoons around and you really just want to go in there and use your nail and scoop it up and taste it for yourself, but you'll get in trouble, right? So this is where I am telling you that you're not going to get in trouble. Reach out to me and request a free session, because I can see who's on here. Request a free session. And we will figure out the time. We choose the time together, and we will. I will help you to use that gift for yourself and see what it's like. And at the same time, it will help you to choose consciously for yourself. And in the end, you can choose one of the other options if you so choose to move forward. If not, that's all you get. 45 minutes if that's what you want. Absolutely fine with me. Like I said, it is a gift from me to you. And I just want to now take the time to say thank you to each and every one of you for this incredible experience that you have given me. My very first webinar is now pretty much done. It's definitely an experience, and thank you for sharing a part of yourself with me. And most importantly, showing up for yourself and being here. And even if you're watching this as a recorded video, even if you're not watching it live, you still stayed up until the very end and you showed up for yourself and you were here for yourself and you were present. I just wanted to thank you and pat yourself in the back. Really. Showing up is the very first step. That's what I even said to myself. The first, I mean, for me, it was schedule the webinar. The second was show up for the webinar. So yeah, I showed up. There I am, and you guys all showed up. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Even those that might not have been fully engaging and participating, your energy was still felt, and I still know you were here and you were absorbing and soaking in all the information you needed that was meant to be for you. So I will leave you with this thought. How can you apply the golden rule of treat others the way you want to be treated by apply it onto yourself? So how can you apply the golden rule to yourself? And the golden rule being treat others the way you want to be treated. So this is what I wanted to leave you with. And I would love for you to connect with me and tell me your thoughts on this golden rule. Okay, so thank you everyone, and thank you once again for saying yes to yourselves today and saying yes to showing up and being here and being engaged and staying present. Thank you. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I look forward to hearing from all of you guys and connecting. Until next time, bye. As I try to figure out how to stop the share. There we go. And once again, thank you everyone. And I will see you next time. Bye.